everyone, welcome to another episode of Critical Critique. Today we're going to be doing a Taking the Stand, maybe, about the recent controversy surrounding interspecies reviews.
Reviewers.
Yeah, reviewers. Oh, I fucked up. Well, I missed one letter,
Yeah.
Ellie. Damn it.
You're discredited, you fake piece of shit.
Fuck.
Disavowed.
So, the drama, as it were, is essentially we have this show, which the basic premise of the show is you have a group of people who go around reviewing brothels of different species of monsters and elves and all kinds of different things.
Well, you could read
And they
from
get-
the article.
I could read from the article, but I can't be fucked. It's more fun if I do
Basically,
it from the
this
top
is
of
an
my head.
anime for men.
Look,
of
they already
culture.
steal from Game Out, so we don't need to steal from them, okay?
Yeah, right. You're right.
We need to have something up, so we've decided to put the niche gamer article, or the Hitchiban, or whatever the fuck they call it, right?
Ichiban? No, Nichiban.
Nichiban. So the basic premise is there's a group of people, they go around, they review brothels. There's a lot of sexiness involved, a lot of very adult humor. It's a very fun show, I think. I'm quite enjoying it. It's very good. However, according to Sony, it doesn't. It falls outside.
Sony?
Whoops.
From Funimation in particular.
I meant Funimation, which is a subsidiary of Sony and was brought by Sony.
Trademark.
According to Funimation, the show falls outside of their standards, and they have dropped the show after subbing, I think they were 3 episodes in? 5 episodes. Well, how many did they actually do into before? Because I don't know if they had every episode out.
It was 5 subbed episodes, and it's believed they were on their 3rd of dubbing.
Right. Okay. Well, actually, isn't there only 4 episodes out? I think there's only 4.
Yeah, there's 4 episodes out at the moment.
Yeah, so it would have been. So they wouldn't have 5. they
Sorry,
physically couldn't.
4.
It would have been 4. So they had 4 out on sub, and they had 3 out on dub, right? So
That's the story.
That's
I'm
the
not
story.
sure.
So
Well, the story's in front of me. I haven't read
so
it completely.
here's the thing. I don't buy their excuse. I don't buy this whole because if you look at the article, they have the email reply, right, which is also nice play, Funimation. You just completely delete the show from the site, delete the forums, completely wipe it from existence. They just not say anything until someone complains. That's very professional. That's
Also, Funimation in the past has done shows with a bit, not as raw, have done shows that have raunchy content or sex jokes before. I mean, in the Discord chat, I just linked, list of animes they've dubbed. Funimation has done this before. Obviously,
they dubbed DxD and fucking what was it called? Shima.
Now, obviously, I mean, it's not as raunchy as, say, Interspecies Reviewers, but they have done shows similar to it. Not to the same level, but raunchy enough.
Let me read the email, right? So it says, "Hello, Funimation user. Thank you for contacting Funimation support. We appreciate your business. After careful consideration, the series was removed from the service as it falls outside of our standards. We have the utmost respect for our creators, so rather than substantially alter the content, we felt taking it down was the most respectful choice. Please let us know if you have any questions or concerns. Thank you." Now, I find it interesting that they are going with the utmost respect, we don't want to alter the content angle. I find that to be eyebrow raising, because Funimation in the past has been in the hot water for a number of alterations to scripts, not just in the dub, but also some cases the sub as well. Mm-hmm. So, I don't buy this excuse, right? I don't buy the idea that they have just suddenly decided to become anti-censorship all of a sudden, right?
No, it's basically the sexual content was too much for them. They feared some backlash in some way or another.
Which also doesn't hold up, because to my understanding, I'd seen barely any backlash, to be honest. Actually, funnily enough, even ANN, who recently trashed Nico Para, right? They all hated that show. Everyone on ANN seemed to really like this show, right? People on Twitter, the general discussions around the show were mostly positive. There wasn't really any bad controversy at all. Like, it wasn't like a Goblin Slayer or a Shield Bro or any of those shows where you had people like Mother's Basement pushing controversy or anything like that. No, the show seemed to be pretty positively received. So
I think it really is just some executive that walked by or something.
Yeah, that is what I was just about to say, Ellie. Was the lizard people. Everyone's a lizard person. It's a conspiracy theory. I'm Alex Jones. My conspiracy theory is that episode 3 in particular, which was the episode about them having a gender swap, right? I have a sneaking suspicion that somebody higher up in the food chain was not happy either about... Now, I know that Niche Gamer mentions that we proposed the content of episode 3 could have been a contributing factor, however that episode was already subbed. Well, this is the thing, right? Even though it was already subbed, all it would have taken was like one exec, as you said, to walk by and go, hang on a fucking minute.
Or even notice people talking about it on Twitter, because everything's interconnected these days.
And I know there was a few people talking about it on Twitter, because there was I saw one person who was like, oh, they made a trans panic joke, and even though it wasn't about trans people at all. So there was like one person. So I think it's more likely that it was some high up... It would have to be a really high up exec to force them to drop the show.
Because, if it was Funimation itself, they would have dropped it while they were subbing it. They would have looked at the rules and they would have been like, no, we can't show this. Which is why I don't really buy with the whole our standards excuse. I think that they're probably going to make a statement later, but that, again, this was their tech support guy who answered first.
Yeah, and I think
I'm a little...
I'll let you go, sorry.
I'm questioning the thing about they have standards. It's anime. What standards are you actually judging it by?
I've been seeing the narrative that, they didn't know the content of the show and they picked it up without... It's like, bullshit. They subbed fucking 3 episodes of it, and they subbed 4 episodes of it, and dubbed fucking 3 of them, or something, right? There's no fucking way they didn't know the content of the show was raunchy. That's fucking...
there's a freaking manga out
bullshit.
there.
Well, no, that's absolutely bullshit that they didn't do their research. I can't
just to
interject.
The statement that was given to Anime News Network was given by a spokesperson, so that it's more.
And I think that was a very similar statement, wasn't it?
Yeah. So I'm going to just read it out.
Right,
After careful consideration, we determined that this series falls outside of our standards. We have the utmost respect for our creators, so rather to substantially alter the content, we felt that taking it down was the most respectable choice.
Which is exactly the same thing as the tech support guys.
Yeah, so this is...
Which is weird because, was it Sugomomo or something like that? Had some scenes cut from it, apparently. I read a One Angry Gamer article on that. Apparently there was some scenes cut from that release.
Sugimoto Desu?
It's like a Sugomomo or something like that.
Which was it about?
I forget. This was an article that popped out of the corner of my eye when I was looking this up the moment this news dropped.
So again, I don't buy it. I just don't buy that it's just a matter of they didn't know the content, or it doesn't meet our standards. I think that's absolutely bullshit.
I don't buy it as well, and I have this theory that whoever this executive is, or in Funimation or Sony, there's this prevailing thought to make anime more mainstream. That's my theory, and they're trying to sort of scrub content that could upset the sort of the normie crowd, as we say in air quotes.
Well, that may be so, but since there was no complaints or no issues, I really think this is some morally offended person that was some higher up guy that removed
Someone
it.
made the decision to pull the plug, and that's the person who is probably going to want to stay off of social media for a little bit, because that was trending
Yeah.
globally when that dropped.
Yeah, it's a very poor play.
Yeah.
I don't like because here's the thing, right? If they had like put out a proper press statement or something, or if they had actually like announced it, maybe it wouldn't be that bad. But they tried to shove it under the rug. Like
And
they
they're
just,
a subscription service, right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
they-
so like they're a
they-
subscription service for their streaming platform, right? So like just dropping this, there might have been people who like subscribed specifically for that show, or people who were only going to watch that show this season, so this justified their payment, and they just like didn't say anything prior to dropping it. They didn't give an advance notice or anything, and
It's like a-
somebody had to
a-
contact them to get information out of, hey, what the hell?
It's like I said, very professional.
Like
Very-
I would like if there was some internal company policy at Sony or in Sony's
Funimation.
US division. Well, no, they're owned by Sony. They're owned.
Yeah, but
they're,
I don't know if it's. We don't know how this.
we
How
don't.
this.
We don't
Well,
know. I'm making an inference here, Ellie. I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah. We're making
It's like we're going by common sense. Like no one can just say like,
Let
yeah,
me
we're canning the
finish.
show. It has
Let
to be
me
someone
finish,
high up.
please.
Yeah, let Lolly finish. Yeah.
I'm just making. I'm just like inferring based off of the information that we've been given right now, right? So they sub 3 or 4 episodes and dub 3 episodes, right?
Something
So
like that, yeah.
with the 4th episode being subbed, that means they already subbed the 3rd episode, which has been the raunchiest one thus far. So because of this, staff at Funimation, and from what Funimation's division right now isn't big, because they're currently, a lot of their assets are being rolled into Aniplex USA right now, right? So they're not big, so like everybody kind of shares the same office space. It's a smallish office in Texas. So when they're subbing this, they probably know, everyone in the studio itself probably knows what's going on right now, right? Like they know what the show's about, they know what they've licensed, they know what they have to work on. So there's no way that nobody at Funimation didn't know the content of the show, which is why I specifically think it might have been somebody at Sony. Like that's my only real justification, because of the suddenness of it and everything. Like I know
Yeah,
Funimation is shitty, but the timing of everything almost seems like that they themselves were also taken aback by it. So I don't know what the
Yeah,
hell's going on.
So
it-
I really think it's possible that some higher executive person at Funimation who doesn't really know or care about the series they're licensing saw it and got offended and got it removed.
See, I think both cases can be correct.
Yeah,
Because
but
I do know that Funimation puts significantly less effort into a lot of the raunchy stuff. They do it to get money, right? They do the raunchy
All
stuff to get
business
money.
is to do it to get
Because-
money, to be fair.
Yeah, I mean they're
Yeah.
a corporation.
Well,
like their entire goal is to make money.
Let me finish, right? They do the raunchy stuff just to get money or extra money because their main sellers are Dragon Ball and the big shonens and that kind of thing, right? There's the more raunchier kind of stuff is just money on the side, right? They don't do it to kind of like from what I understand, they're not known to put a lot of effort into those types of dubs, right? So I think that it is definitely possible it could have been a higher up at Funny, but I think it could be either or, right? It could have been a Sony exec, or it could have been a Funny exec that didn't quite realize, and then after the 3rd or 4th episode, they decided fuck it. But then again, it could also be something that we're completely not considering, right? And they're just lying to us. Because I honestly think they are lying to us. I think there's more to this than just, oh, well, it didn't meet our standards.
Lying by omission, because this is a non-statement.
Another point another thing I want to bring up is that like the licensing fee to dub such a show must have costed money.
Yeah, that's something I was going to bring up too. Is it must have cost them money to buy the license, and now they're sitting on a license that they're not doing anything with. Right?
Not only that, they broke the streaming contract in the U.S., which also shares revenue with companies in Japan. So they also broke a contract, what was going to be a written contract with the people that they're the licensor. So that's going to put them in hot water in terms of reputation, because hey, if your show's too raunchy, then this big this big-ish American studio is going to just like...
It's also not a good business look either, breaking contracts, right? It's not...
Yeah, especially if you're dealing with Japanese people. I mean, they take that very seriously, like the concept of the concept of like the face and honoring your your word is taken very seriously.
It's not a very similar case, but it's a somewhat similar case of a streaming service losing the rights to something where, not in this case they haven't lost it, they're just not doing anything with it. It was the Kill la Kill streaming license for New Zealand was owned by Madman, right? Because Madman is the main licensor of anime within the Oceanic region. And before they had Anime Lab, they had a service where they were just streaming anime, posting episodes on their website. Right, because the storefront website where they would sell the DVDs, right? And what happened was they had a scenario where they had preloaded a bunch of episodes of Kill la Kill onto the website, and someone managed to get into it. And by the time they had realized that the website had been compromised, those episodes were already just on the fucking torrent sites. It was too late, right? And the Japs were fucking mad. They were really mad, and what ended up happening was they luckily managed to negotiate to keep the DVD distribution rights, but they completely lost the streaming rights entirely to Kill la Kill in the Oceanic region. And I think it was after this happened was when they started to work on Anime Lab to get that made, because this was such a major fuck up for them. So the Japanese take this kind of thing quite seriously when it comes to distribution, I think. So having Funimation just go, well, we were going to enter an agreement about this and now we're going to back down, right, is not a very professional look if I'm thinking about this from a business standpoint.
Yeah, and they're also going to lose money because, what if people were going to watch interspecies reviewers, but now it's no longer on Funimation? Like, now they're going to be losing money. They're
going to lose money in two ways, aren't they? They're going to lose money because, one, they've already spent money to dub those episodes that they've dubbed and sub the episodes that they've subbed, so they've already wasted money on that. They're going to lose money because if they're not going to do anything with the license, right, they're not dubbing it, right, or they're not streaming it, or then... Like, the assumption is that they've completely dropped it, right? They're not working on a dub, they're not subbing it anymore, which means they're probably not going to release it on DVD or Blu-ray, which means they're going to lose out on the money from that. They're definitely not streaming it anymore, which means they're going to lose out on the revenue from potential viewership, right? Like, again, that makes me think that this definitely couldn't have been like a surface level decision. This had to have been a decision made by someone who was very high up on the food chain. It's not something that you would just flip the switch on.
Yeah, especially if they're
and it makes me wonder what is the deeper meaning for it. Like this like for Funimation, this seems like a net negative, but who would make that sort of choice? Like, I mean, you've got to assume that these people that run Funimation, they have to have some idea of what they're doing, how to run a business and shit. I mean, granted, Funimation doesn't run that great, but you've got to have some idea. They have some idea, and then they make this decision that's like a double, triple fucking net negative. And I'm just wondering, like, is this like a plant or some sort of like ploy?
I don't know.
I don't think it's a ploy. Like, I wouldn't go as far as to say it's a ploy. I'm more willing to believe either somebody who didn't know walked past and was like, no, you stop this shit right now, or somebody at Sony or Aniplex was like, yeah, we can't have this attached to our brand. But the thing is, right, so Funimation is rolling into Aniplex at the moment, right?
Mm.
Actually, I just thought of something. This might lead to another angle that might potentially be, relevant. But I'll hold off. I'll hold off on that for a second.
Let's get into that and then we'll move on because
No,
we have
but-
another topic today.
Yeah.
But I'll let Lolly. You we'll do this angle and then we'll move on to our next topic.
Yeah. Now, they're attached to Aniplex, and they're attached to which is a subsidiary of Sony and Sony Pictures. Sony's headquarters in the U.S., but they still have a lot of assets over in Japan still. So they do have a more direct connection now to negotiate and talk with people back and forth. So there's no way that there was a miscommunication. Like, they probably even saw production materials. There's no way there was a direct miscommunication. A part of me wonders, because this happened with... so, Roku Boo streamed in the US. That was the Lolly basketball show, right? It streamed in the US. It's actually available through cable networks. You could stream it straight on your TV. So it was available in the US, but the Warner Brothers Japan didn't distribute any DVDs or Blu-rays outside of Japan because that was was it 2010, 2011? They were just concerned about what international feedback would be at the time, right? Because they're really cautious about things like
Christian mothers, you mean?
that. Yeah. What I wonder is, if somebody at Sony Japan didn't make this call, like, oh, foreigners might not like, because that weird things like that could happen.
Yeah. I'm thinking. It can be thrown on the pile of possibility, right?
That would explain the vagueness of the statement too. Like, because they don't know how to explain that shit.
Well, at the moment, it's an evolving story, and Funimation is getting quite a lot of flack for it. So hopefully, we'll see a more, less deceitful or lie by omission type.
It'll be when this video comes out, and it'll be completely irrelevant by then.
Yeah, but by the time this video comes out, there's already been a statement. The series is back on the service.
Yeah, we brought it back.
The whole season is subbed in advance.
The whole thing was a PR marketing big brain think ploy.
God, that would work as it, because that was trending in the US on Twitter.
Yeah.
So that really is.
Yeah, it's a big brain marketing ploy. Oh man, the show that was too raunchy for Funimation.
Cancelled in several
good
countries.
Sales pitch. Like, that's a really good sales pitch. Like, if you're watching an advertisement or an advert on, like, online or some shit, like, the show too raunchy for Funimation, I mean, wouldn't a part of you want to fucking watch that?
Yeah,
like, I think I would.
Well,
So,
a lot of things are too ranchy for Funimation.
Yeah. So,
And I do want to, before you go, I do want to comment on one thing they said about they don't believe in altering or censoring thing. That's a fucking lie. Because I remember back when Dance in the Vampire Bun was streaming on Funimation, and they absolutely censored scenes in the US.
prison school.
Read manga.
Dragon Maid.
Well, that was changing the script. In the U.S., they completely cut a scene that was actually relevant to the plot. It was the scene when they were explaining the lotion that the vampires put on themselves to protect themselves from the sun, right? And I guess that scene was like, because he's rubbing down the vampire lolly, they were just a little concerned about that or something, so they cut that part. So, like, I mean, yeah, it's been like almost a decade, so maybe, there's been enough change in there that they do legitimately believe in not, altering things now, but I distinctly remember that, so they can't say they've never done it.
So they're very wrong in that, you would say. Very, very wrong.
Potentially.
So they have a history of being wrong.
Who else is wrong?
Fuck you, I don't read manga.
So this is how we're transitioning, huh?
Yeah, boy, let's do it. So, you thought this was a taking the stand video, just as normal taking the stand video. You would be wrong.
Dead wrong.
So, we're now going to transition into talking more about the show itself via our lovely person that we are definitely not bullying. Definitely, we do not. This is not a bully channel.
Disavow. Disavow bullying.
Disavow all bullying. We are.
I mean,
a
we're
wholesome stream.
very gentle. We're very gentle.
And
This is a wholesome video.
and
Yeah,
the video
the safety
title
word is
is
rabbit.
the video title is Interspecies Reviewers Gentai, and I'm and he uses Gentai, and
What the
Gentai
fuck does Gentai mean?
Gentai is declining. It means decline.
Lolly. Right. So what does he mean by this?
Well, you'll see when the video plays.
Okay. So
I have seen the
let's-
video. None of you have seen it.
Right. So let's jump right into it then. Once it loads, because watching
Yeah.
is taking a lot of time to load.
Do you
Oh,
have
boy.
internet issues?
It's not loading on my end at all. That's there it
Oh,
goes.
oh,
There it
oh,
goes.
oh, there we go.
There it goes.
Yay.
Oh, how this channel
It's only
has
6
evolved.
minutes. How wrong could he
Did you guys
be?
know that I used to be one of the more respected video essayists? And
What? This channel has evolved.
It took 11 seconds.
I'm not even acting. This is genuine. This is genuine.
Maname Matt's like, this isn't even my final form. Maname Matt, you are such a fucking treat. Never change, please. You give me so much joy. Oh, he's just precious.
Oh, I'm dead. I'm dying.
No, Noritsu, I need you. You're the only other Kiwi in my life.
Oh, give me a minute. I need to recover from that. That was
Stay away from the light. Stay
not
away
a
from
bully.
the light.
Not a bully video. Not a bully video.
Not a bully video. We just start off laughing at him.
Oh man.
Oh my
that was-
lord. So,
I can't believe that.
God, I don't even know where to go next.
I can't even believe that.
He's topped him. I think this is his magnum opus.
Oh
He's
my
done
god. Oh my god, Maname Matt being respectable. is
The greatest
oh.
comedy channel on YouTube.
The
You know what? You know what?
I mean,
you
if
know
that
what's
was
funny?
intended by it as a joke, it's a damn good one.
You know what? You know, if we just take Maname's Matt show as just all parody, like he's
Yeah.
the fucking best channel out there.
He's such a good
Yeah, it all
parody.
suddenly
He's
makes
a
sense.
self-parody of himself. Okay, let's go.
Makes
calm
so much
down.
sense now. So, yeah.
Let's keep going. Let's try and continue.
now I'm whatever this is. I guess people change. I mean, frankly, I don't even know what I am anymore either. But what I do know is that I'm
He's having a life crisis.
It's having an existential crisis.
Oh my god!
I mean,
this is part of the hero's journey.
Yeah.
He's going through.
I mean, I get it. His channel is... our channel is, I would say, pretty focused on what we do, but his channel has some weird, like, character analysis, weird general series stuff,
It's a bit
convention,
scattershot, yeah.
his adventures on conventions, anime cons, I mean by that.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with like diversifying your content or doing different things, but at the same time, you've got to at least have one focus to keep like an audience together.
Well, I said that, but I now remember I did some paint stuff on paint video, so maybe it's not the best criticism. But that's on me. That was my personal ramblings.
well, I don't think my art's that fantastic either. But it's like, yeah. But we've gone through that before. But yeah, it's this is gonna be a good one. I can already feel it.
I was about to say before we started, oh, it's only 6 minutes. What's the worst he could say?
What's the worst that could
Lolly,
happen?
you jinxed it. You jinxed it, Lolly. Damn you.
Alright, let's keep going.
still here to ask those hard-hitting questions. And today may just be one of the most important questions I've asked in all of my career. is interspecies
What
reviewers
Korea?
Gentai. And yes, that's right. I'm going to try my best to not get this video demonetized, but let's be real, I have my doubts. Now, you may be asking yourself, Matt,
So-
why does this question even matter?
Pause. I lied.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I kind of lied by suggesting Gentai was a thing.
Wait, what do you mean?
Wait a minute.
No way!
No.
Did he? How do you
No!
fuck up a
Liar,
term like
liar,
that? No.
pants on
No.
fire.
Hang on a minute. Hang on a minute. Are you trying to tell me that he means hentai, but he's put it as gentai in order to fucking beat the algorithm?
He
Or
did.
like, are you fucking for real? Are you actually serious? Because I was gonna be like, is he gonna like explain what gentai actually is? Like, what is this?
Yeah,
fucking
yeah.
word
I
that
was
he's
curious
made
what
up?
Gentai is. Like, I was really
Like-
curious. Like, what is this Gentai?
I'm fucking like, are you for? How the fuck? I'm not.
First
gonna
of
be
all,
able
I
to
don't
prove-
think that's gonna help him beat the algorithm, considering the first
Oh, I need a
thought.
big swig.
Anything in this episode. Are you drinking right now?
I'm drinking Coke. Don't worry. I'm
Oh,
not
okay.
drinking. I wish I was drinking
Because I was
shit.
about to say I have beer in the fridge. I could easily break that shit out right now. I might need it.
Oh man.
I've got 2 cans of vodka. Do you want me to like just scull them
Nah.
all in like a minute?
Nah. Let's.
Chug.
Okay.
Do it.
Let's process. We have to process the information that we've just figured out, right? So not only did he start the video by saying the greatest joke of mankind, which was that he was at some point a respected video essayist, right? That's the term he used, right? And now we have the information that he is calling it gentai in order to not get demonetized. I am at a. Okay. To his credit, he could have done the stupider thing and asterisks out letters. Let's be real here. However, in saying that, gentai.
You know what the really fucked up thing is? I actually thought that he did not know what the correct term was. Like, I thought he actually made a mistake. Like, that was what my mind assumed of him. I didn't even think about the demonetization thing.
Well, he said said it. I hope after he said Gentai, he said, "Yeah, I hope this will make my this will keep the video from being demonetized." So he did explain it, but it's
It
so
just went.
stupid.
It just went right. It just went right over our heads because it's so stupid. It just didn't register, right? Like it didn't. Oh my
I'll-
god!
Well,
Why not
you,
just
you
bleep
see,
out the
Monday
term?
Matt's brain is so massively big and huge that, you know, it's like he's speaking a different language. It's like
Yeah.
Okay,
it's a
first
regular
of all-
show.
First of all, right? So if this is all done by algorithm, and it's one letter away from hentai, I think the algorithm's going to catch up on that.
Probably, yeah, maybe. I don't know how all that shit works, but
And, you know, I was curious for some concept of Gentai, which
yeah.
which interspecies reviewer could be.
I can actually check to see if this is monetized. 1 second.
Oh my god. Okay. Yeah. Actually, what happens when you Google gentai?
Well,
What come?
It's
What?
it's well, I don't know if you know our Western alphabet, if you use that, would show up.
Okay, so I googled hentai, and the first thing that came up was
No, no,
Newgrounds hentai.
No, gentai bio. You have to do.
I
it with the
typed in gentai. This is what
1 second,
came up.
I'm checking.
Wait, so you typed in gentai and fucking Newgrounds comes up?
Yep, first page.
Let's see what we got here.
And then it says, including results for hentai.
The
That's-
Google algorithm already caught up.
Yeah, the Google
Years
algorithm
ago.
is one step ahead of you, Matt. It's-
Oh, it did?
Yeah, when Bio just googled it, it came up as showing search results for hentai. So Google already knows.
Let's see, checking. Why did he label this video as family friendly? So I'm looking at this right now. I'm not sure if you know what Nvidio.us is, but it'll actually tell you things. It's basically a proxy for YouTube, but it'll tell you things like engagement, whether or not something's family friendly, something called a Wilson score. I don't know what the hell that is, but this is he had this labeled as family friendly.
And is it monetized? That was the question.
I don't see it as being monetized, but
why would he mark it as family? Okay. We got to get through this because otherwise I'm gonna die. Right?
Yeah, we're gonna be here all damn day. Like
we can't get hung up on these little things. We have to kind of push through. So let's keep going.
Well, it's quite simple. I like watching anime without headphones, and I enjoy watching hentai with.
Okay. The shading, he has a problem with the shading on his character here. I want everyone to look at his character right now and tell me if you can see a problem.
the back of his
why
head.
is there a big fucking black circle at the back of the neck?
It looks like he's fucking sunburnt.
He kind of does.
It looks like he's a redneck.
Well, maybe his brother took a picture of it from. Maybe his brother draws these, and he took a picture of it from behind, and he notices the sunburn spot. He doesn't know.
Like, I know it's a bit of a. Again, I don't want to go on that kind of stuff because it's a bit bully-y, but it's like that's learn how to use the blend tool, my dude. You gotta blend that shit in. You can't just have like a solid line. Like it doesn't work like that.
It could work, but it doesn't. But what
anyway.
what I would say is that using gentai in speech, I mean, if you want to beat the automatic subtitling, alright. But it's just the most childish thing you can do. It's the playground word swapping to say a naughty word.
It's also like, again, as Lolly pointed out, like if he's marketed as family friendly, I don't know.
I mean,
what to say
for all we know, he might not have graduated kindergarten or elementary school, so this could just be the mindset.
Not a bully video.
For you,
also,
maybe.
Don't you know, people? If it's animated, it means it must be for kids.
Yeah, it
Like,
says
in the
family
speech review,
friendly in the fucking.
It's totally for kids.
He
Alright.
agrees.
I mean, when I was
He
4
marked
years
it as
old,
family
I was
friendly.
watching a show about brothels.
Alright.
My mother thought it was perfectly fine.
Alright, so let's keep going.
Headphones. So, originally, I believed this anime to be of the non-gentai persuasion, so I watched.
The show is called Interspecies Reviews.
Did he not see the
The
promo
show-
material?
The show,
Or the synopsis.
the image of the show on fucking A&N or Mal or whatever, right, has fucking big ass titty fucking cow ladies on it. How can you not think this is at least an ecchi? Like at the very least, right? Like I remember when like people were kind of talking about this way before, like when the anime got announced to be happening, right? And people were showing like that one image of the just them all in like the room with all the bloody monster girls, right? And it's like you take one look at that image, and it's like, how can you not think that that's at least gonna be like high school DxD level ecchi? Like,
Well,
Yeah, when I
you're
saw that
talking-
wallpaper, I was like, "Fuck yeah!"
This is the guy who does zero research for anything.
True. Maybe I'm asking a bit too much, but it's like, come on, man.
Listen, going on Mal is really hard. You have to type in the web address, you have to click, you have to go to the seasonal chart. That's all time-consuming, taxing work that could be spent on better things.
So I
Like
wonder,
making a video with no fucking research.
does he just live with his brother, or does he also live with his parents? Because if he just lives with his brother, I'm not gonna lie, if it was just me and my little brother in the house, and I had that on speakers, I'd crank that shit up just to see his reaction. That'd just be me.
You'd be the literal interpretation of the boomer meme with your little
Yeah.
brother trying to go to sleep, and you're just like you're just cranking up the entire sounds. It's like, brother, it's 9 in the morning.
Timmy, I'm jacking off. Fuck off, go back to sleep.
I was up all night shit posting.
Yeah. He could have roommates though, so I'm not gonna lie. I remember actually, I know this is gonna get off topic, but Giga recounted a story once where he was like, what I can't remember I think it was Monogatari. He was watching Monogatari in his underwear with socks on or something, and one of his roommates walked in and was just like, "Huh, so that's the kind of stuff you're into," and it just walks out. So yeah, let's keep going.
It without headphones. Inevitably, my roommates are bound to come knocking on my
Yeah,
door
roommates.
and asking me if I'm watching Gentai. And look, man, I'm just begging.
I
It's
would have said,
becoming
"Fuck
more-
yeah, come join."
It's more childish every time he said it. He's saying it.
Yeah.
Gentai.
It's like,
Try-
I've watched hentai with bros before, and it's great. It's fun, good time.
Bruh, one of the main things that brought us a lot of us to where we are right now is a bunch of black people watching hentai on a stream. If you know the deep lore about this, right? The deep lore. One of the main thing that brought people to the server we record this on was a bunch of people watching hentai.
No lie. Standard tradition for if I'm ever like around anybody who hasn't watched it and like we're close enough is like, alright, you have to watch Boku no Pico. This is a bonding moment. And I've done that on 3 separate occasions with people.
Yeah, the bonds have never been stronger.
Third episode is the best.
Oh my god.
I would agree.
Alright.
There's like a really hot threesome at the end. It's pretty good.
Fucking Christ. Okay, let's keep going.
Fuck you,
For
Nitro.
anything to give me just a bit of deniability. Either way, I'm getting ahead of myself here. First off, let's talk about interspecies reviewers. For those of you who don't know, this anime is a show about a couple of guys living in the fantasy world who spend their time writing reviews. Hey, kinda similar to what I do. Granted, what they review is the kind of women they try at brothels. To be more
Well, no, the
specific,
difference is he doesn't get laid.
Interesting how he's not like censoring the slime girl nipples right here. Like, what?
He probably
I
didn't
don't know
catch them.
I mean, to be fair, I can understand it. It's a slime girl, right? But it's like, you'd think that would be the kind of thing that would get you taken down. But all right, I guess.
Family friendly.
Yeah, YouTube's
remember?
weird about fucking nudity and shit like that. Like,
yeah,
it's weird.
it's kind of weird. But yeah, let's keep going.
slime girls, cat girls, cowgirls, bird girls, and the list goes on and
I'm sorry, but I love the fucking the birds episode where it's talking about how they bathe in the fucking sand.
Sandbathing, yeah.
Yeah,
Birds do
sand
that.
bathing. That
Yeah,
was a good- that
I've
was a-
seen it literally outside my window. Like, birds
That was-
literally like roll around
That was
sand
a,
and
that was
shit.
that was a good episode. Also, yeah, this little fucking semen demon.
Hey, you're
They're
in
all
New Zealand.
semen
You're not
demons,
allowed
they're
to like
fucking
that.
whores.
Oh fuck! Shit! Bee. Dead. Alright, let's keep going.
on. Actually, it really is kind of similar to what I do if you think of YouTube as this cute little anime girl who keeps trying to me and take all of my money. The show follows them as they go on these adventures and
doesn't
detail their reviews before posting it in their local pub and making money off of it. As the poet Biggie Smalls once said, and get paid. And well,
Hey, he's
these
censoring
guys
now.
are quite literally living the dream. So, this begs the question, is this just Gentai? Well, it's kind of hard to say.
Gentai.
Gentai is defined as a subject
Come on!
Family-friendly video, by the way.
Oh
He
my
couldn't even put
God.
any effort into that damn joke.
Also, I just want to say something like that as well. Like, ecchi shows and hentai shows aren't the only like anime that could have sex scenes in it,
Also,
or have
Also,
references to it.
the classic reminder that in Japan hentai just means pervert.
Yeah.
So
They use the phrase arrow manga or arrow anime.
yeah, they use ero or yeah. So it's
Yeah, because I think ecchi means sex or something like that, and hentai
No.
means pervert. But in the Western context, it's like the opposite.
well,
Ellie? Did Ellie die?
Well,
No.
yeah.
Because here's the thing,
kind
Ellie would
of-
know the most about this because Ellie,
I
knows these
I
things.
translate a little bit, yeah. So, Japanese. Welcome to your Japanese lesson.
At least people will get something educational from this video.
You
So-
have the
Hey,
floor.
listen, on Pause on
Well-
Point, our mission is to educate people.
All right, let's
That
let Ellie
indeed
go.
we do. So in Japanese, you can throw you can throw I don't know the English term. Basically, subjects of a sentence out without any context, and it is up to this or to the listener to infer what it means. That's why you hear a lot of "suki desu," and then from what? The fireworks? Like, I love you, I love. I say,
That's context heavy.
it's very context heavy.
Which is why misunderstandings is such a common trope in a lot of, storytelling over in Japan. It's something that can happen naturally, which is how their language works.
Like I'm
Basically-
trying to teach myself Japanese, and that's like one of the problems. Is it's very context heavy. Like context matters, and I have to like wrap around. It's just like okay, so, we're getting in the reads. I'll stop.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine.
So, if somebody says "etchy" at somebody, they basically say you are acting like somebody who is looking for a little sexual jolly,
Little fun time.
a little innocent but naughty fun thing, and that's a mouthful.
Playful fun time.
Watashi wa daisuke ishi.
So that is a lot of words in English to say, but in Japanese you can just throw the concept of like, you can say ignorance. If you
Right.
say ignorance at somebody, and then in English that would then, if English would work the same as Japanese, then if I say ignorance at you, you would have to imply that I think that you are being ignorant at this moment for this reason.
Mm.
That's why if you say etchy, then it's you are doing this, and you're doing this, which means that for this reason in this context, blah 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 blah. That's how Japanese 101. That's why you can say etchy or hentai and whatever without saying you attached to it. You are being.
All right, it's good to know. So yeah.
Yeah,
that's-
I was just saying, as far as like genres go, it's sort of swapped, but other than
Yeah,
that, like
yeah,
it can be
yeah.
used in different ways.
So yeah, let's keep
I mean,
going. and see.
Skeba is more, I think, used than really etchy.
All right, let's keep going.
Genre of Japanese genres of manga and anime, characterized by overtly sexualized characters and sexually explicit images and plots. Which, by that definition, it absolutely is. However, I think that definition is a bit too strict. I mean, after all, if we go by that, anime such as Prison School, High School of the Dead, and High School DxD would all be classified as Gentai too.
Wrong.
See, I get what he's trying to say, right?
But he
I-
doesn't
I-
even actually know the proper terms. for
Yeah,
things.
the problem is he doesn't understand.
He's halfway to a discussion on something meaningful.
Yeah. It's like he's very close, right? Like I think he's close, but it's like, I don't know, man. I don't know. I think because he's trying to say, right? Well, the definition is too strict. That would mean that this, and this would be classified as hentai. Well, that's the thing, right? When we talk, as we just mentioned,
Well,
in the context of Japan, right? These things, could
Well,
technically
I think
they
it's-
would be because there's as we mentioned, there's the difference between ero and hentai, right? In terms of like the words used, at least in a Japanese context.
What I rather would say is that going off of a definition is kind of flawed to begin with. Most of all because it's a Google definition, and Google definitions or most stuff.
It's
most-
the most basic bitch definition you can use.
And the
It's
reason
the
why it's
English.
the reason why it's the most basic bitch definition is because Google works on what people want the answer to be, not what the answer is. Which
And
is
even if
why
it's pulling from dictionary.com, that's the Anglosphere usage of the term.
Yeah,
Like, that's not the concept as it would mean over there, which is where they would make that distinction.
but even
Yeah,
if we're trying to say we're going to apply this to our English, the English language in this case, genres cross boundaries, go beyond their definitions very often.
Yeah.
So I don't
and-
just always go off the definition is a fool's errand to begin with, because this is categorized as a romance, but the only there is a lot of drama, so why isn't it categorized as a drama? Well, or these two people have this is a drama, but the two main characters are in love with each other. Why isn't it categorized as a romance? And your definition of romance is two main characters with a focus on love and relationship. Blah blah blah. But in that case,
Yeah, and I think I want to.
DxD is
we'll let-
romance.
Yeah, and we'll let Bio go.
Yeah. The thing I also want to mention is like, everyone here, I'm assuming, has probably watched one hentai anime or read some hentai manga doujins and all that shit.
All the
Okay,
damn
So the
time.
thing yeah, good. All right, men of culture. The thing I want to say is that like these specific genres do have tropes that are specific to them. Like for example, hentai. Like the story and characters are usually like the backdrop for the sex, which is the main focus.
There's also there's genres within genres as well. Like there's not just one.
Yeah,
genre
there's
of hentai
genre. Yeah,
as
like
well.
and
I think
and-
the issue is that Anime Matt here is using a very he's talking as he usually does, in very simplistic terms to talk about very
Yeah,
complex
and
topics.
and just going with the examples he listed, like High School DxD and High School of the Dead specifically, I mean they're a mix of many things. I mean High School of the Dead is like a fucking zombie apocalypse, high school harem ecchi show.
There's a level of horror in High School DxD, right? Like
Oh yeah, sorry, horror as well.
Yeah, it's
There's
trying to ape off of 80s horror movies, which did have sexual elements in them.
Yeah, I would say like it would almost be classified as
Yeah, like
a
it's
homage,
yeah. And like High School DxD is like this supernatural battle harem romance ecchi.
It's actually, to be honest with you, DxD is almost a shonen. I would argue, because there's a lot of training and power up.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Get more power,
yeah,
right?
like
There's
you get what I'm saying.
escalating. Well, hang on, let me finish. There's escalating like power scale, which you see a lot in shonen, where you have the main hero. Oh well, the main hero he suffers a defeat, and then he has to get stronger, and then he gets stronger. He gets a power up, and then he gets a new ability that he uses to defeat the bad guy. But what's this? Oh, there's a new bad guy, and the new bad guy has this new ability, which counters the thing that the hero got. So DxD, I would actually say, shares a lot of DNA with typical shonen battle action type stuff.
And the thing with like High School DxD specifically is there's a lot of references to like Power Ranger, to like Super Sentai and Tokusatsu stuff. Like you like quite a few, like a lot of these shows, like and Prison School, like that's kind of a mix of things as well.
And you see, this is the issue with Matt, because he's viewing things on the simplistic view of this is just ecchi. This is just hentai. Whereas
let's
there
give
is
him
High
a
School
little credit.
High School DxD isn't just
Well,
about Issei
I'm
wanting
just-
to suck some titties.
okay.
Like,
Well,
it's
this is hang on, because Ellie just said, well, yeah, let's give him some credit, right? I'm just going off what he's saying right now, right? He could go
Wow.
more deeper into this in the
Yeah.
next 5 seconds. I don't know, but from what I'm seeing, he's going from a very simplistic, right? Here's a simple definition. I think this definition is too strict because that would mean that X, 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 and X, which I don't think are hentai, would be classified as hentai, right?
And I would
Whereas-
even disagree that under Google's definitions, these shows would be considered hentai.
Yeah,
Oh, no, gentai.
hentai. So
Yes,
yeah,
because
let-
we have to worry about monetization.
Yeah, like we
I
can make
wish.
like anyone can make money off this autistic train
I'll
wreck.
get, I'll
but-
get
Oh,
my,
no,
I'll get my,
Naruto
I'll
needs-
get my fucking Switch sooner or later.
Naruto, I'll just buy you a Switch. It's fine. I'll
Uh,
buy you a Switch and send it to you.
No, then
don't.
he will
To a
never
PO
come on
box.
this channel again. Don't do that.
all right. Let's continue.
Which I totally disagree with. I view all of those anime as strictly ecchi anime. So, where do I go?
Oh, okay. So he doesn't have a
Yeah.
problem saying ecchi, but he has a problem saying hentai.
I mean, I guess in
And I
theory,
would-
the algorithm wouldn't catch that, maybe. Maybe.
I don't know how family friendly is he trying to be here. Like, that's
He has a
kind of-
Patreon, doesn't he? Why doesn't he just say, like, oh, this is just a thing in the meantime. I don't intend to monetize this because I have standards. Well,
Yeah,
that's
weird.
just as good of a joke. So,
Why-
like, if he were, that's the thing. If he were to open the episode with a, I'm not going to censor this because I have standards, we would have also have laughed.
Well, we would have laughed, but I'd actually have at least some respect for that, right? Like if he chose to not censor and just be like, hey, look, this video, because I've actually seen creators do this where they'll be like, hey, I'm putting this video out because it's a passion thing. I know it's gonna get demonetized, so if you could support me on Patreon or whatever, that would be great because this video is not gonna make me any money via YouTube. I'd actually have a lot of respect. for
Yeah,
that.
and you and I think I'd respect that too because you actually feel like this is actually a patch in project and not some way to fucking make money through low IQ
Yeah.
takes.
Yeah, that's the problem. But yeah, let's continue.
I mean,
From
he has
here.
to pay off his
Well,
film
one
his
discrepancy
school
that I
degree
noticed
somehow.
is that there are two separate versions of the anime, a censored version and an uncensored version. So,
Okay, actually, there's like 4. There's the fully massively censored version. There's the ATX uncensored and mildly censored Japan premium channel. There's
Okay.
the Taiwanese completely 100% uncensored.
The Mad Lads.
The Mad Lads in Thailand. And then I think there is one
Taiwanese,
other.
not Thailand.
And then oh whatever. Yeah, true. Whatever. Geography. What the fuck is it? And then there is I think there is a
Racist.
fourth. Shut up. I think there's a fourth version, but I'm not sure what the difference is. I've heard that there's a fourth version, which I'm not.
Depends
I think
on
that might-
region, from what I've been hearing.
Depends on region. There's various levels of censorship depending on the region. I actually believe that was it the French stream they got in trouble because they were airing the uncensored version in France or something. I can't remember what country it was, but I believe it was a European country that were gotten some shit for.
I could believe the French just being like, yeah, just air it, whatever. They tend to be like that.
I don't remember.
Bless
I
them.
Yeah, my theory is it's probably Germany.
Well, no, it was either France or Italy. I don't recall which region. it
Yeah, I
was.
could see Italy being like, no,
But
kind
they
of
got in
like,
trouble.
No.
They got in trouble with like the ratings authorities or something for airing it uncensored. But the point is that he's wrong. Right? There's more than. This is a small nitpicky thing to be wrong about though, so I'm not gonna be like too harsh on him for it. But there are technically like multiple layers of versions of this show.
Wait,
different
is he going
versions.
to suggest that having a censored or uncensored version of a show might be a determining factor? Because there's a
Well,
lot of shows that have uncensored BDs.
Let's find out, shall we?
naturally, I watched both versions to see if that would help my argument in any way, and once again, the answer was no. They are both practically the same, and the censored version only barely turns it down a notch. Fun fact, there's actually
Oh, yeah, no. Now I remember. The third version, so there's the normal censored version. There's the hyper-censored version that even censors the nipples on clothed characters. And then there's the uncensored and the really uncensored one.
Is this why the release I downloaded had Russian subtitling at the ending?
Yeah. Oh, well, that was a fuck up on their part. See, what people have been doing is they've been taking multiple versions and interlacing them together to get rid of the censorship.
That's amazing.
That's what people have been doing to get the most clean version of the show. Is they take like the Russian and the, as you mentioned, the Taiwanese versions, right, and interlacing them with the English versions or whatever to try and get the subs, right? And that's how people have been uncensoring the show via some fucking video editing magic.
God, you've got to love fucking
It's
people who do torrents.
crowdsourced.
They're just God's gift.
And there was one case where like there was some nipples censored in one episode on one of the ones that we've been watching. And he mentioned that that was a fuck up on his part. He didn't catch it, and for like a few seconds you might see a censor somewhere in some parts, but it's like you can find it pretty uncensored if you know where to look, right?
Also, I just want to say, Skunk makes a pretty cute girl.
Not gonna lie, I don't disagree. Actually, all of them are pretty decent. Like that elf is fucking pretty hot. Not gonna lie, it's pretty good. But let's continue.
spot where the censored version forgot to, well, censor. It's in episode 3 for those of you who really want to look for it. Or, I mean, you could just watch the uncensored version. Either way, my point is that the censored version is just a TV-safe version for the show and nothing more. So, what else do we have? Well, funnily enough, I think one of the major deciding...
He's not going to show the difference?
No, of course not.
Look, these titties are family friendly. These children deserve to bear witness to cow titties.
To the bulge.
Look, when I was
To the
9, I will have you know I would have really appreciated that.
Fucking bulge. The bulge on Clem's fucking magnum dong.
He's the one too fucking built for everybody.
Yeah. Oh my god, let's get out.
Adding features is that the show actually has a plot. Well, sort of. More than I would expect out of a Gentai. The 3 main characters get a lot of screen time just sitting around
Again.
and talking.
So, one of the major Gentai, as he says, releases in the US in the 90s was, have you ever watched Kite?
Yeah, I've heard of that. Yep,
Kite is
yep,
a classic.
yep.
That is absolutely...
Animation.
Yeah, that is absolutely an HOVA, or an H anime, however you want to say it, whatever. And that absolutely does have a plot. Not having a plot isn't an indicator of something being a Gentai. We'll play along, whatever.
No.
Yeah,
Actually, I want to bring up another example. Has anyone here watched the show Pure Mail?
No.
No.
Okay, well, it's basically Serial Experiments Lane if it was a hentai. And it does that in
That
2
sounds-
episodes.
That sounds fucking great.
Yeah, that sounds low as fuck. I'll have to watch that.
I mean,
Yeah,
most-
look up Pure Mail. It's great.
Okay,
watch it.
so the thing here is that he's showing a little bit of that kind of how would I describe it, like hentai discrimination, where people automatically assume, oh well, it's just porn, so it can't have a plot, right?
Raw
Like,
ignorance. You could just say raw
it's-
ignorance
yeah.
here.
Yeah. It's we see this a lot when it comes to porn games as well. It's kind of like, oh, it's just a fetish game. It has no plot. You can't, right? And I think that's a stereotype that I think needs to kind of be put to rest, because I feel like we've had enough examples of like, hell, it's definitely in games, right? When you think about hentai VNs and the like those have fucking shitloads of plot. Heaps of
Suki-
plot.
Is it not Tsukihime? Alright, was it Tsuki?
Hey, Tsukihime is fucking amazing. Apparently they're making a remake that's never gonna come.
Yeah, Tsukihime. Of course, niet gewoon. That's that.
Hell, fucking Fate.
Yeah, that's what I want to say.
Fate was a fucking HV.
Fate Stay Night. Fate.
But don't you know, Naratsu? Fate began with Fate Grand Order.
Those fucking it started with those fucking gacha games, fucking corrupting the children.
It wasn't like they fucking made this game in their fucking basement or some shit during the late 90s or some shit.
And
No,
the
that never
Fruits
happened.
Fruits of Carissa. It's also a popular one.
Yeah, but well, the point is
Fate.
that the stereotype of hentai can't have plot, I think is very ridiculous.
I mean, there are hentai games that are just about sex and shit.
Oh yeah,
Just simple,
no, yeah, that's
you
not
know,
right.
guy meets girl, they fuck and shit.
There are definitely fetish games that are
They
purely
refer to them
created
as,
for the.
They refer to them as Nuki-Gay over there. It's
Yeah,
entirely-
they're purely for the fetish, right? But I think that even then you could still argue that you can have some plot in those types of games. But yeah,
I know, but when it comes to say like Fate Stay Night or Tsukihime, like yeah, there's sex in it, but it's not the main focus. It's just something that happens. Like main character Shuki and Akoi, they fuck.
yeah.
That happened.
All right, let's continue.
And it's funny as hell. And not in a it's so bad it's funny, but damn, these characters are great together funny. I mean, Krim is introduced as this lovable, pure virgin angel character who ends up having to rely on Stunk and Zell. And in the process, well, more like immediately, they bring him to a brothel and have him defiled. I think my favorite part is then you expect Krim to always be fighting against going to brothels.
Hey, showed the ball.
Yeah, he
Well,
showed the
not
shoulder
soon.
bulge. That's impressive.
Yeah, boy.
Side bulge.
Mission accomplished plus respect.
I mean, it's just some side bulge.
Insert San Andreas music here.
Got respect with the weeb game.
Not my respect. It was a boring, zoomed out. You need a telescope.
Hey, keep going. He might show the zoom. He might show the zoomed in dong.
You never know. That's
Kind
what
of
you
comical just how quickly he ends up getting used to it. Like in the last
Respect
episode,
lost.
the girl he ordered gets there and he's just like, peace guys, and heads off to his room. Good characters like this just
There's actually a layer to this that he's completely not talking about, which is the fact that Clem. It's very obvious that Krim. I'm bad with names. Krim very clearly wants to get dicked
Yeah.
because he's looking at the Because another thing that he hasn't mentioned is that Krim has both parts.
Yeah.
It's a hermaphrodite.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is because angels are technically genderless within mythology. So
Yeah.
it's shown in the show as being hermaphroditic, right? So it's made very clear that Krim is like, oh well, why not show? Because the whole premise of the episode is they've turned into women so they can see what it's like to be fucked, right? But all the other characters are like, no, I only want to do it with other women. Where Krim is like, no, why don't we get some male? And they talk about the male version of the sucky girls, right? And the
In
different
the
types.
industry
Incubus.
and the types.
He's
And-
fine
and
either way, and he's taking it as a serious review. Like, yeah, I mean, while we're here, yeah, sure.
Yeah, but the others are very dismissive and kind of peer pressury about it. But then he ends up going with another species. So it was actually. So that's the thing, right? There's actually a lot of levels to talk about with the character and stuff. But yeah, Matt's probably not going to get into it, which is a shame.
And there was actually a video game that I haven't played, but I've heard about it. It's literally about a character. It's a hentai game, and it's about a character who literally, basically changes genders, and it's like they fuck dudes while they're a girl.
That's a concept that's actually come up quite a few times in a lot of things.
There's quite a few series
There was an anime. There was an anime I watched when I was a kid. What was it called? Was it called Exchange?
No,
think it was called X-
Exchange was the H anime, or not
Yeah,
the
it
H,
wasn't an A- it
was
wasn't-
the game.
Was it Krampfer? What did it have like a blue?
Oh, Kaifa. Yeah, that's it. You're right on the money, Bio. Yeah, Kaifa.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure it was
why not?
called Kaifa.
Was it Runman 1.5?
No, it wasn't. No, it was something.
but
I believe it.
but
I'm
you
pretty
have
sure
the,
it was
like-
Kefir.
No, that was
Yeah,
my
but-
introduction to the fetish. Was one around 1.5.
but there's literally these games where you have like a dude who turns into a girl who fucks other girls and
Well,
guys,
we
or
don't
shifts
have
back
to
into a
go
dude
to
and fucks
games.
other
Yeah,
dudes and guys.
Yeah, right.
You have those type of shows. They like literally change gender, and it's like
It's
gender
not
is
not
like,
exclusive, but I think that it would have been an interesting thing to get into with the character. But let's see where Matt
Well,
goes.
but
Make me see this show as less of a Gentai.
Pause real quick. He's
Good
not
pause.
really going into any characters or plots.
He's not
or
even really
anything.
laying out what qualifies something as hentai, and then laying out the case for why this may or may not be something. He's just saying
As-
shit.
Yeah, as normal with Maname Matt, it's just him sort of drifting away. Like
it's like pillow talk. It's like shower talk.
it's like
You know,
he
it's like-
again he uses the point as like something that he's just an excuse to talk about something. Like he doesn't. I don't think he's actually going to make a point in this. But let's keep going.
And more of an ecchi. And yes, I know that there's a whole subgenre in Gentai called porn with plot, but usually those are like really dark dramas, so I don't think that.
Not always. That's a lot of generalization, my Matt. I'm very disappointed.
I think a man he lacks a bit of experience, my boys. I think he needs a.
So are you suggesting that we kidnap him and indoctrinate him in
Nah,
the Loot Gamer
nah,
cult? I'm
yeah,
totally on.
Yeah, we need to have
Well,
him.
depends. Is he in the U.S. or is he in Canada? Because one of these things is going to be easier for me.
Well, we're almost there, so let's try and finish it off.
This
Home
fits
stretch,
too
boys.
well. And finally, my last point: intent. When it comes down to it, what is the intent of the media in question? Is it there to inform, to tell a story, make us laugh, or something else Gentai is usually used for? I think this is the most important distinction, and frankly, this show is just a comedy that likes to push that exact line. I mean, I think it's the whole point. It's a show that's trying to make a joke out of how sexualized it is, and frankly, for me, it's working. I love just how over the top
I
this
would disagree.
Okay.
I think like it does have that element to it, but there's also other elements to it, like the fact they're talking about like fetishes and sexualization. Like that could be a very interesting topic in itself. You know, talking about
It's
the idea of a
also-
fetish.
It's also somewhat educational. Well, maybe not.
It's
Maybe
like-
educational's the wrong word, right? But I
But
think
it's thinking
has-
about it, like
yeah, it has a lot of discussions in it that I think are very interesting, such as the discussion that they have at the very beginning of the show about age, right?
Yeah.
The elf guy is disgusted in the fact that the human will basically fuck a 500-year-old elf because elves are mana focused, right? They're a magical creature, which means they can detect mana, and the mana within a 500-year-old elf is akin to dog shit, according to him, right? But to a human, because humans do not sense mana in the same way that elves do, it's just a cute elf girl that looks like she's fucking 20, right? However, then you go to the elf who is like into milfs, well, not even milfs, like grandmas, right? He's into
hey, he's a man of culture. He's a fellow brother.
he's into the old ladies, right? And the human guy character is disgusted in this, right? Because obviously, to him, it's an old lady, but to the elf, the mana is more mature within the old lady.
Or
So
younger,
it's more,
fresher.
or
even.
younger and fresher, right? So it's very interesting. That's actually interesting concepts, and it has a bit of world building, I guess. to
I think
it.
the humor doesn't derive from necessarily how sexualized the premise is. The humor derives from talking about something that is never discussed in settings like this. Like,
Yeah.
very rarely is this discussed. Like, you'll see it in
Yeah,
some science
want-
fiction or some fantasy novels, but
I
this is
mean,
the
look
most
at, like,
in-depth
shows-
I've seen it.
Like look at the series like Monster Girl Quest, where like the main character, like spoilers at the end, like falls in love with a monster, or a lamia or something like that. Like why, like, or any sort of Monster Girl series, like why would you be attracted to a monster girl? What is attractive about that? And the show sort of showcases this. It's like, oh, you know, the their
No,
scales, or I like
I-
the coloring, or I like the body, or you know,
I
dive.
kind of disagree because this show is more of a parody exploration of what Lolly said, a concept that isn't covered. Like how does sex work between their own species and other species, or how does sex work for this species of fantasy creatures? And
And I think there's just all right, and I think that's interesting too. And just the label is just like just a comedy or parody is misguided and ignorant.
And
Yeah,
it tickled my fancy brain things when he said intent is very important. Then I thought just well, the author is dead, so
Right.
we live in this postmodern society.
Oh,
Intent
no.
of the author isn't really a
Let
thing
me,
anymore.
let me break out my clown mask.
Oh no, Ellie, I'm gonna have to take you back behind the shed.
Want to hear
Sorry.
another joke, Ellie?
I'm sorry, boy. We're gonna have to put him
I'm
down.
sorry, O'Wally.
Nah, but really,
Jokes aside, though. Yeah, continue.
yeah, intent. I mean, of course, intent is good to know and to inform yourself of what the show was supposed to be in the eyes of the author, but it isn't really. I am of the opinion it shouldn't
Oh, sorry.
it shouldn't guide you to the conclusion.
Okay, so I was about to say, like, let's look at this under the guise of, author is dead. What is the intent of interspecies reviews by our observation, right? Because in my opinion, the intent of interspecies reviews is, as I agree with what Lolly said, that it is a parody and talking about things that are not normally talked about within these types of settings by singularly focusing on that particular topic, right?
Yeah.
So the intent is to highlight this somewhat interesting, unexplored, right, kind of territory.
But
I believe
with
that is
that,
the
though,
intent.
but even with that, though, you can have multiple intents. He could have easily just...
Yeah,
like, the animators are like, sex does sell, so, I mean, while we're here...
fuck it. I was horny that day. Let's just write this fucking manga about about fucking Bird Woman.
I'm
Right?
not gonna lie, I'm probably gonna fap to episode 3 later.
Episode 3 was fucking good.
That
But
was really
let's
fun.
Already beat you to it, Lolly.
all right. Let's keep going.
Show is, and I think the intent for it to not be used as Gentai is fairly clear. Interspecies Reviewers isn't a Gentai. It's a comedy that is in some ways making fun of Gentai, while also being funny in its own ways as well. So, Danny, sorry for the strange noises you've been hearing coming from my room, but I promise you this. This show is not Gentai.
Wait,
Thank you guys so much for watching.
I
A
want to-
huge thing to my
can you pause? Yeah, I want to point out he says Gentai and Gentai
Oh my god.
right after each other.
So
It's
to
annoying.
cap it off, it's another Maname Matt video where he doesn't actually go in deep on anything. He doesn't actually make a point. He just kind of rambles about random shit for 10
Even
minutes.
more than us.
For 5 minutes. And he's making up words and doing all this other shit.
Look, he
and-
really had to put this out so he could justify to his roommates and his brother that he's not just jacking off in the room. This is important research.
It's important. So yeah, I it's kind of weird. I feel like maybe when the show's over, we should do like a fucking like review of it ourselves, like talk about having just a whole cast, because I feel like you could have a cast dedicated to it because it's that good. But yeah, I feel like it's another Maname Matt video, and that's about all I've got to add to it.
It was great comedy though.
It was great comedy.
Yeah, I would say this is my favorite of the Wrong Man videos. Like, it was just such a great comedic episode. Like, the parody was obvious. Like, the minimalism was on point.
I'm just imagining Bio's got like a fucking top hat and a monocle, like an art reviewer and an arcade. He's like, the parody in this.
By the
Maname
way,
Matt video.
we can all agree that Majorie is best girl, right?
Come
Come on.
I guess.
Don't tell
You-
me
you
you
mean-
don't
you mean
want
the
to
bird
smash
girl?
that. Yeah. Don't tell me you don't want to smash that bird pussy.
You mean cloaca?